Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here then hi, my name is Miss Paris and on my channel you can find tips, advice and information on teaching as well as being able to follow along with my own personal journey. So just before I go to the gym, I thought I would tell you a little story time and this is about school trips. And school trips are always quite eventful anyway. They require so much organisation. It can be loads and loads of fun, really educational, you know, a brilliant kind of memory for teachers and children alike. I have done a trip before. I did just a beach trip, simple beach trip where we walked to the beach and we did some kind of beach activities. And that was last term, so in the last term of 2021. Yeah, 2021 as my role as year 1 class teacher. And the one I was meant to do in spring 1 of this year, it was cancelled due to bad weather. When we were meant to go, it was raining, so that's gonna have to be rescheduled. So the first school trip I did with this school, going somewhere like on a coach, was so eventful. And that is what I'm going to talk to you about today because, oh my goodness. I mean, it was like, what, 1-2 weeks ago now? I just haven't made this video yet, but oh my gosh, I honestly, if you picture Bear Grylls mixed with children, mixed with lots and lots of tears, that's a good summary of my trip. So let me just give you some context. So we were doing the theme Kings, Queens and Castles, and we're very lucky to live in Dorset and to live very close to Corfe Castle, which is a ruin. And you know, we've kind of spoken before about the different features of a castle and different people that used to live in Corfe Castle, so they were really excited to go. And this was the week where the Saturday, Sunday and Monday were so warm. I saw people, you know, getting the sun cream back out. I saw people in shorts, in like some in sleeveless tops, absolutely mental. We were like, oh yeah, it's summer. Everyone on the radio was hyped. Everyone in general was hyped. We went on the Thursday, so I think it was Thursday the 31st of March. Yeah, Thursday the 31st of March. And it was cold. And when I say it was cold, I don't just mean it was windy and, you know, you required a coat. It was cold, cold. I mean, to the point that it started snowing. Yeah. And so I've got these little frail, small-boned 5 to 6 year olds who are just crying in pain. Now it started well. We got on the bus and everyone was really excited and we were like, oh my gosh, wow. Some of them, it was their first trip on a bus, bless them. And you know, it was a little bit chilly, but it was fine. You know, you had your coat on, some had scarf, gloves, hat, all good. We got there and we were walking up the hill and it started to get a little bit windy, but you know, we were kind of keeping warm by walking up the hill and doing all that kind of stuff. And then we started doing the activities. And by the time we had put their like backpacks kind of out of the way so they didn't have to carry it around the castle, they were shivering. And shivering not just as in like, oh, it's chilly, like shivering, full body shivering. And some of them started crying. Now we did, you know, the kind of tough love thing of, oh, rub your hands together like this to warm up. Oh, make sure you've got your scarf on. Oh, zip up your coats, because some of them still weren't zipped up. And you're like, come on guys. And then we kind of just did the keep moving, you know, you'll be fine. But then we started to get really cold as well, and it started to get chillier and chillier. And it came to the point we had, out of 60 children, maybe like a 1/6 of them just sobbing, you know, uncontrollably. I want to go home, my mum, you know, I want my mummy and daddy and all that kind of thing. And we just kind of, we had no other option. This is what I mean by like the Bear Grylls thing. It was literally, it felt like survival of the fittest. So we were like rushing them around, trying to get their activities, huddling for warmth. We were like in groups of 5 and 6 and we were literally just cuddling like penguins, just kind of like rubbing each other's backs, like trying to keep warm. And we were trying to take shelter in a ruin, so there was no shelter. And we were just so cold and like trying to keep them motivated in general and engaged is one thing. When they are crying because they can't feel their fingers or they can't feel their toes, it's a whole other board game. So we were like, right, maybe some food will kind of warm them up a little. I don't know where that logic was, but we got them to sit down, eat lunch. Now, we spent so long trying to help them open packets because they physically couldn't like grip and they couldn't rip and they couldn't do anything, that they barely ate lunch. And you know, even myself, I had 1 packet of crisps and I was literally shivering like this. It was absolutely bonkers. And you kind of just, I look at it now, you know, in hindsight, and I look back on it and I just think, oh my gosh, that's so funny. But at the time we were so cold. And you know those little mini cheddars that you can just open like this? I couldn't physically grip, like I couldn't put, you know, pressure on these 2 fingers. So I was like this, you know, as if I kind of lost all sense of touch. So I only, in that whole lunch, ate 1 pack of crisps, and that was a struggle. And of course, because it was so windy, there were things like flying out of lunch boxes and all this kind of thing. So we were like running around trying to get them to close their boxes. And then they couldn't open it again because some of them had those, like, you know, those boxes where you kind of snap the corners round to make sure it's closed. Yeah, couldn't do that. So we were like, right, we're gonna cut it short because this is just ridiculous. But we wanted to still do a tour. So then I did a tour around the castle really quickly. I think I stopped like 4 times to say something in the entire castle just because they were so cold, and it was like huddle round, huddle round. At one point we just had all 60 of them literally in a line clumped together, and we're like huddled, you know, with each other for warmth because they were just shivering. And we were almost encouraging them to be penguins. We were like, you know, go up against each other. Forget COVID for a second. Imagine that didn't happen. We were just like, please keep warm. Just absolutely ridiculous. So we did that castle tour, and then obviously it started snowing. It started snowing in the middle, well actually at the end of March, nearly April. A few days prior we were, you know, living it up, sunbathing on the beach. Now it's snowing, and it's just kind of like, what is happening? So they got really excited by the snow, which was nice because, well, some of them were still crying, but you know, it was nice for them to kind of be like, oh wow, it looks so pretty. So we cut it short, we finished the tour, we started to line up. By the time they get, you know, they've gone to the loo before the coach and all that kind of stuff, it started to be really sunny. And we had kind of elongated it as long as we could. We stored it for as long as we could. We tried to do all these little warm-up techniques with these small 5 to 6 year old as we could. We line up ready to go, and it starts to be sunny. So we're walking down the hill, it's still sunny. We're going on the coach, beautiful sun, blue sky. And we just kind of like, what? But to be fair, it was rubbish timing, and you know, the type that kind of makes you go, oh for goodness sake. But the wind was still really cold, and 2 hours later, my finger still hadn't returned to normal. It was honestly so cold. And you could see how little they had eaten, because when we got back, obviously it was earlier than expected. We just let them have lunch because we thought we are going to get so many parent complaints if they've seen how little their children have eaten. And it took them an hour to eat lunch. That's how little they ate on that trip because they were just so cold. And you know how some kids are always hungry. They were hungry, they just physically couldn't eat. So that, as a little summary, because you know, I think it's a memory that I would like to keep on this channel because I thought it was kind of funny. That was my first real school trip in a coach as an ECT, and yeah, half of them were crying, started snowing, and what an adventure. But honestly, I've never experienced anything like that. It was just beyond ridiculous. You know, we were there kind of like cuddling these little children, rubbing their backs. They were just so cold, and being like, it's okay, it's okay. Oh, but yeah, I just thought I would share that with you guys because there's lots of tips and advice on here. But you know, it's nice to sometimes hear about people's experiences too, and that was quite the experience. So if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Comment down below any kind of weird experiences you've had, whether it's like a school trip or like an event or a lesson you ran. I want to hear weird things that have happened to you. And don't forget to subscribe if you are interested in more teacher related content. See you later. Bye.